This is an Amazon Kindle reading device, and I'm Linda Shelnutt. I'm going to read a review that I wrote on a culinary mystery, possibly one of the first culinary mystery writers, Virginia Rich. She mentions Nero Wolfe, the earlier murder mystery protagonist, who was a gourmand, they called it in his day, instead of a gourmet. This review was good enough to get a lot of no votes on it, and yet it was also picked up and put on Wikipedia on the page that describes Virginia Rich's work. So I felt pretty good about that overall. It goes into too much depth really for a review on Amazon, but we're in the right spot where people are looking for this kind of detail, then it's appreciated a little bit more. The title, Couverture Knives for Gourmet Slicing. Wolves in the Kitchen. Cupboards beware. As much as I've looked forward to ordering, owning, and reading this rare book, I'm happy to stay. Oh boy, this isn't going too well. Okay, as much as I've looked forward to owning, ordering, let's start over once more. As much as I've looked forward to ordering, owning, and reading this rare book, I'm happy to say that it's even better than I thought it would be. I wasn't factoring in the richness of the time frame or its conception and composition. I wasn't factoring in the richness of the time frame of its conception and composition, which appears to have been the end of the 70s, moving into the bare beginning of the 80s. That satisfying time before shock and speed had stolen the essence of sensuality, when Robert B. Parker's Spencer series had established its market call with its first 5 or 6 novels, at least through the Judas Goat, number 5 in series, with a 1978 copyright, and maybe through Looking for Rachel Wallace, number 6 in series, with a 1980 copyright. Hailing from that cultural setting, this novel was not as soothingly cozy as I had anticipated from my current new millennium reading perspective. As you can see, I've got my cozy environment here for reading cozy culinary mysteries. It is real strange. I agree that a series that deals with murder would be developed into a type of series that's cozy. There is a reason for this. It is sane, and it is actually, I would say, ethical, maybe in the highest degree, because the purpose of it is to show, discover, search, whatever, the cause of crimes that people cause against each other. So it's not as cozy as I had anticipated. Instead, the opening scene of this novel had a delicately noir mood, somewhat like Sidney Sheldon's novels. His novel steps out from the literary gateways. The flap copy on the hardcover dust jacket of the cooking school murders referred to Nero Wolfe fans and announced that this was the pilot to a mystery series beckoning to gourmands. This was not yet the time of the call to pull up bar stools to the kitchen countertop of the home-based catering business of Diane Mott Davidson, her heroine. See my list media of that series and my reviews of Dark Tort and Double Shot. I believe that the historic branching off, let me see how much time I have. Okay, I'm going pretty good. I believe that the historic branching off from heavy moods etched in the dark sides of realism into the breezier, cozy offerings in amateur sleuth mystery series, especially those in the culinary category, may have had to do partially with relatively young female authors establishing a solid footing on the literary mystery stage. With Sue Grafton's phenomenal success with her early offerings in the Alphabet series, and with the establishment of Sisters in Crime, actually Sue's pilot to her series, A is for Alibi, came out the same year as Cooking School Murders, 1982. However, Grafton was probably a few decades younger than Virginia Rich. In that 70s to 80s transition time frame, those decades of age difference and cultural background diversity mattered greatly, due to the surging initiations of humongous leaps of cultural change, revolving around three massive factors. First, a huge shift in male-female role adaptations. Second, a huge shift from manual electric typewriters to the PC, personal computer era. And third, earthquake cracks which began unraveling ancient tapestries of ethical perspectives and social strata frameworks. I feel I shouldn't take additional time here away from the novel I'm currently reviewing to go further into these earth-splitting contemplations, so I'll exit this minefield with only a few prime picks of bombs diffused. Tread cautiously into future ruminations if you wish. You might cross lines of fire from active battles between the sexes about who's rescuing or not rescuing whom, and who's pulling the toughest end of the macho rope, which you could hang yourself with if you're not careful. See my review on Robert B. Parker's Looking for Rachel Wallace. You might even find yourself lost in the matrix of the relativity of rules. If you do venture further into this cultural growth battle arena as it broke ground into literature, keep in mind a particular time factor which until recently had been concretized for at least a century, possibly even earlier, from the establishment of the printing press. That factor is the backtrack distance between copyright publication dates and the conception and beginning composition of a novel, a distance which has on average normally been from 1 to 3 years. Commonly it takes a year for an author to compose and edit through several drafts a manuscript for a novel, though some prolific writers can rush the first draft of a novel in a few weeks. I've done that a couple of times with a couple months for a first draft, though a couple of months for a first draft has been my norm. Other more methodical contemplative authors will take 10 years to finish a work of fiction. Once a novel is contracted by an established publishing house, the process of editing, formal copywriting, printing, distribution, and publication takes on average 6 months to a year. A glitch in that timing is how long it can take from a manuscript completion by an author to the author's getting the novel contracted, with or without a literary agent. With legitimate, that term too is evolving, publishing house. This time lag can be as short as having a contract in hand, with an advance on future royalties in the bank, prior to pen touching paper, or as long as 40 years it took Frank Herbert to get his weighted manuscript for Dune. I was mesmerized by the book and the movie, contracted for publication. Returning to the historic significance of Virginia Rich's individual life and path, which was, as noted, well into its final chapter when she began this series, with wisdom gathered and garnered. Okay, I think I'll just stop there. The review goes on. You can find it on, this is how far I've gotten. Okay. It goes on like a lot of mine do into the next century. But anyway, I'll pause here again and maybe continue this later. I'm not really sure which way I want to go with these video reviews, but I've really been enjoying the process. So hope to see you again soon, and enjoy your reading, your cooking, and your munching.